we're making a compare and contrast map of these two pictures. Now, these two pictures both represent a fraction. They're very similar in size. If you look at it without the line separating it, they're very close to the same size, but they're not exactly the same. So what I would like for us to do first is talk about the similarities. So I'm going to say they both represent part of a whole. And I want you to write P over W for part over whole. So those are the similarities between the two. You could also say they are close to the same size. And we're going to talk about in just a second how they are not the same size, but very close. All right. Now, off to the side, I want you to, for each one, for the differences, I want you to talk about the fractions that represent them. Let's look at the one on the right first. So my whole is 3. I have 3 pieces, and 2 of them are shaded. So that represents the fraction of 2/3. Okay, that's 2 out of 3, 2/3. Now, if I turned 2/3 into a decimal, if I divided 2 by 3, I would keep getting a repeating decimal. It would look like this, 6 repeating, okay? And I know that. I'm going to write it with a smaller thing. So if I took my 2/3 and I know that the nerd is 2, it goes inside the house, donkey is 3. 3 cannot go into 2, so I'm going to have to add a decimal. 3 goes into 26 times. 3 times 6 is 18. Subtract, I get 2. Add a 0, bring it down. Do you see how I'm going to keep getting 20 every time? So that's how I know that it's a repeating decimal. So you don't have to have that written down. I was just showing you. All right. So that is 0.6 repeating. All right. Now off to this side, we're going to look at this fraction. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares total. So the whole is 10. And the part is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10. Now I know that this can be simplified. Actually, I'm going to write this down here. I'll explain why in a second. So I'm going to say can be simplified to 3/5. If you divide 6 and 10 both by 2, you get 3/5. Over here, I'm going to write that it can not be simplified. 2/3 is already in simplest terms, so it cannot be simplified. And then the decimal version of this, if you say the fraction 6/10, it makes it pretty easy to write as a decimal. 6/10. And if you were to divide, you would see that you get the same thing. Even if you divided 3 divided by 5, you would still get 6/10. Now, I would like for you guys to see if there's anything else you would like to add to this, if there's another similarity you see, or if there's another difference you would like to talk about. And then once you've done that, you're going to write your so what. It needs to be a complete sentence explaining the summary of your map. So what is on your map? And then your so why, whoa, it should not be one word. So why needs to tell me why this might be important or why you might need to be able to tell the difference between the two. And then your source. If you use my map exactly the way it is, you need to say that Miss Posey is your source. But if you add stuff to it, change something to it, you can put your own name because you added your own stuff to your map.